Dear friends, welcome to another episode on The Informant. In today's video, we delve into the high-stakes alliance forming between Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, from North Korean troops reportedly aiding Russia's invasion of Ukraine to potential nuclear technology transfers to Pyongyang. We'll discuss the consequences of this strategic partnership. And in response, South Korea has pledged military support for Ukraine, with a special mission set to train Ukrainian forces to combat the North Koreans now fighting on Russian front lines. But before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. To grasp the impact of this alliance, let's first examine recent events. Russia and North Korea, historically isolated from the global community, have strengthened ties under increasing international sanctions, especially since the invasion of Ukraine. Facing intense economic sanctions and diplomatic pressures, Russia is now turning to unconventional allies, with North Korea emerging as a notable partner. In a major development, North Korean troops have reportedly arrived in Ukraine, and NATO Secretary General Mark Hutt recently confirmed this, highlighting NATO's close monitoring of these movements and its prioritization of this threat. This North Korean intervention marks a strategic shift for Pyongyang, as the regime expands its influence beyond regional borders. South Korean President Suk-yeol swiftly responded to this deployment, concerned over North Korea's potential expansionist ambitions beyond the Korean peninsula. Yoon announced the formation of a special mission to aid Ukraine, sharing insights on North Korean tactics. Before their deployment, the South Korean delegation briefed the EU's Political and Security Committee on the severity of this alliance, emphasizing the urgent need for coordinated defense measures against a military pact that could shift the balance of power. The Russia-North Korea alliance poses not only a direct threat to Ukraine, but also jeopardizes the balance of power in East Asia. By deploying troops abroad, Pyongyang defies global sanctions and may embolden other states to sidestep UN mandates. For South Korea, the prospect of North Korean forces gaining experience in foreign combat theaters is an alarming escalation. President Yoon has urged NATO to enhance monitoring efforts to prevent further illegal exchanges between Russia and North Korea, viewing the alliance as a fundamental threat to international rules-based order. Globally, this alliance highlights the potential formation of a network of sanctioned states, like Russia, North Korea, and Iran, that mutually support each other militarily, economically, and technologically. This cooperation undermines international security and the authority of sanctions imposed by the UN and other international bodies. NATO and the EU have issued a joint response to this emerging threat. In discussions with President Yoon and EU leaders, NATO confirmed its intent to closely track North Korean military support in Ukraine, calling it a violation of international norms and security. The Russia-North Korea partnership signals a potential turning point in the Ukraine war, with non-Western forces increasingly backing Russia. In response, Seoul is now considering supplying Ukraine with weapons for the first time, a stark departure from its previous stance of providing only humanitarian assistance. This policy shift could elevate South Korea's role within the coalition supporting Ukraine. From Ukraine's perspective, the arrival of North Korean troops is a serious escalation. Ukrainian intelligence reports indicate that nearly 12,000 North Korean soldiers have already trained in Russian bases, readying themselves for combat deployment. This influx of foreign troops signifies a diversification strategy by Russia to bolster its forces. By recruiting disciplined, battle-ready North Korean soldiers, Russia can reduce its own recruitment efforts, alleviating pressure on its domestic populace amidst soaring casualties. The presence of North Korean forces introduces unique combat tactics, complicating Ukraine's defense and requiring new counter-strategies. This pragmatic alliance underscores Russia's prioritization of military necessity over past diplomatic concerns. For North Korea, the partnership grants access to advanced weaponry, economic assistance, and, crucially, cutting-edge technology in nuclear and missile development. For Russia, North Korean reinforcements provide logistical support and added military manpower, allowing the Kremlin to circumvent large-scale mobilizations and the internal dissent they could provoke. Since early 2024, Russia has actively sought North Korean support, given its battlefield losses and internal resistance to further mobilizations. Known for their strict discipline, North Korean soldiers are valued by Russia for their resilience in harsh conditions, enhancing Russian capabilities in the grueling attritional conflict. Pyongyang also uses this partnership to negotiate favorable terms, exchanging soldiers and artillery supplies for Russian military aid, economic support, and sophisticated technologies, particularly in nuclear weaponry and ballistic missile systems. The Russia-North Korea alliance is a marriage of convenience with far-reaching security implications for Asia and the world. North Korean troops enable Russia to reallocate resources elsewhere, minimizing the need for a politically costly mass mobilization. It's worth noting that in 2022, following a partial mobilization of 300,000 troops, over 200,000 Russians fled the country to evade the draft, with many not returning due to fears of arrest and forced conscription. Moreover, Pyongyang's provision of munitions reflects the tactical alliance that aims to extend the conflict's duration. The most sensitive element of this cooperation involves the transfer of nuclear technology from Russia to North Korea, including advanced tactical nuclear systems vital to miniaturizing warheads. This technology could encompass submarine-launched missile capabilities, raising Pyongyang's offensive potential to unprecedented levels. Miniaturization allows for shorter-range missiles or even nuclear artillery, a crucial step for nuclear states seeking to install these weapons on various delivery platforms. While North Korea already maintains a significant nuclear arsenal, it lacks key technical advancements. With Russia's support, Pyongyang may not only expand its arsenal, but also upgrade its nuclear warheads. This development poses an immediate threat to both South Korea and Japan. The deployment of 152mm nuclear shells, for example, would place the region in immediate danger. Enhanced miniaturization could also enable North Korea to execute quick, large-scale attacks, challenging Japan and South Korea's defensive systems. This escalating threat has pressured the US and its allies to reconsider their regional strategies. For South Korea, the potential for a nuclear-empowered North Korea creates a security dilemma that may drive a regional arms race and strengthen the US military presence. Japan, in turn, could intensify its own defensive capabilities, moving toward a more assertive military policy and fueling domestic pressure to develop its own nuclear deterrent. The Moscow-Pyongyang alliance defies Western deterrence, now facing dual threats from Russian expansion in Europe and North Korean nuclear advancements in Asia. Sanctions have proven limited in deterring these powers. The US and NATO will need to recalibrate, possibly boosting alliances in the Asia-Pacific and expanding joint military exercises with Japan and South Korea. Furthermore, the US may impose new sanctions or technical restrictions on Russia to curb its cooperation with North Korea. Although China has not directly engaged in this alliance, a stronger North Korea serves Beijing's strategic interests, distracting the US in the region. China is cautiously observing, but may capitalize on rising tensions to further its ambitions, such as territorial claims in the South China Sea and influence over Taiwan. The South Korean delegation's visit marks a critical step toward a coordinated response to these threats, yet the path forward is complex and fraught with uncertainty. As Russia and North Korea continue to defy international sanctions, NATO and its allies face growing pressure to devise effective countermeasures. For South Korea, this situation is deeply concerning. The threat of a nuclear-empowered North Korea expands beyond the peninsula, potentially reshaping its military influence on a global scale. Adding to the already high tensions on the Korean peninsula, North Korea announced a successful test of its new Hwasong-19 intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, under the guidance of Kim Jong-un. The missile traveled 1,001.2 km, reaching an altitude of 7,687.1 km, setting records for North Korea's highest trajectory and longest flight time. Designed for rapid deployment, the solid-fueled Hwasong-19 also features a rounded warhead, suggesting multiple warhead capabilities. Kim Jong-un asserted North Korea's irreversible hegemonic position in nuclear missile development, underscoring the missile's role as a central deterrent. With the launch closely timed to the upcoming U.S. presidential election, South Korean officials view it as an attempt to shift attention away from North Korea's support for Russia, including troop deployments. In response, the U.S., South Korea, and Japan are preparing coordinated actions. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated that discussions with regional partners are underway to ensure a united response. In closing, the Russia-North Korea alliance surpasses mere troop support. It amplifies the military power of both nations, destabilizing Europe and Asia alike. The most alarming aspect is North Korea's potential acquisition of advanced nuclear technology, dramatically raising the stakes for South Korea and Japan. This isn't just another chapter in the global arms race. It's a fundamental shift with the potential to spark a conflict of unprecedented scale. If you value independent journalism and want to support our work, consider buying us a coffee using the QR code on your screen. Your contributions are vital to help us keep delivering in-depth analysis and high-quality insights. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to subscribe to The Informant for the latest news on the world's most urgent geopolitical issues.